Hello, hello. Welcome back to Wheel of Games, where today we're going to be playing some more Final Girl. Let's see, I haven't played this game in a little while, but this is also the second time I've had to shoot this one because I had an issue with the microphone configuration, so I had lost a bunch of sound. So this is my second attempt. I got partway through the game before I realized the sound issue. But we're going to be rolling everything back the way it was. We're going to be taking on Inkanyamba in the Sacred Grove. Let's see, last time we had a very rough luck against the poltergeist in the manor house. Got taken out pretty quickly there, but I think that was just a whole lot of bad luck, and maybe I didn't know how to handle the poltergeist. We've got Inkanyamba and the Sacred Groves. I'll go through them real quick here, and we'll do the rest of our setup and everything. So here we go. The Sacred Groves. The gods are furious over the desecration of their sacred places by idiotic, obnoxious tourists. They forge an unholy pact with the killer, unleashing their wrath upon you and the oblivious victims in an attempt to cleanse the groves with blood and fire. As you fight to survive against the killer's onslaught, you will need to simultaneously contend with the fury of the gods, represented by divine wrath. And there's a bunch of special setup here, but quickly we'll also hit Inkanyamba, the Avenger. Whoever Inkanyamba used to be, or where he came from, no longer matters. He has taken for himself the name of the legendary monster, and has become a creature of pure wrath. His sole purpose is to exact vengeance on those around him, even if he long ago forgot the reasons for that vengeance. In order to overcome him, you will need to manage his ever-rising anger, represented by killer wrath. If it boils over, you will never survive the ensuing onslaught. So, this couple of things includes some wrath mechanics. Both the location and the killer each have a special wrath thing. The killer's wrath is the red lightning bolt, and the location's wrath is a divine wrath is the yellow lightning bolt. And you can see the higher the number of the wrath goes, the nastier the effects that wrath can wreak havoc on you become. Nastier and nastier. So now the special setup. Place the divine wrath card in play area, and it starts with tracking number 2. That's also the same for the killer wrath. Place the Sacred Grove's Bloodlust Tracker. So the location itself also has effects when the bloodlust increases, and whenever you hit those levels, we'll have to do what those things say. Let's see, set the Sacred Grove's Finale token to the side. So when you hit the finale, the location also has its own thing, and for the most part it's just triggering the Divine Wrath abilities and just constantly increasing wrath. These also include the Atonement special card, which is primarily used for decreasing wrath. You can use it to decrease either killer or divine wrath, and you include these cards in the action tableau, things that can be purchased, whenever you're using either this killer or this location in your game. Oh, both kitties are coming up to visit. Okay, after the Atonement cards, we explain how both of the wrath systems work. So whenever you are instructed to increase or decrease wrath, you move the marker up or down the associated amount. It can never go above 10 or below 1. Ignore any extra. Whenever the bloodlust increases, in addition to applying any effects from the killer's side of the board, you also apply any effects from the location's bloodlust track. Something to note is the effects that are listed on the wrath trackers, they don't activate when you move the token to that spot. It is specifically happens when you unleash wrath. And it says which type of wrath to unleash. So, unleash divine wrath, you would do whatever it says to the side of the little marker on that tracker. And some item or card effects will allow you to reduce wrath, but the primary way is to purchase and play the Atonement cards. Yep, and if the finale is triggered, you take this and put it on the top to indicate the extra Sacred Grove stuff that happens after you handle the killer's actions. unique thing about this location is that there's a new type of space called sacred spaces. So we've got these little red spots that have this sort of red mask icon on them, and those spaces are considered sacred to the spirits of the sacred groves. And oftentimes, if there are victims in those spaces, it will make the gods angry, and that may say increase divine wrath by the number of victims in a sacred space, for example. If you can, you want to keep the victims out of those spaces. Inkanyamba's rules for the wrath are virtually identical to the way the divine wrath works. Yep, it says place it. It also starts at tracker mark 2. And if you're playing with either of these things, you get the atonement cards. And everything else here says the exact same stuff about Killer Wrath as how the Divine Wrath works. That's the scenario-specific setup. Let's see, other things we need to get into. Our final girl for today is Barbara. She's the one on the cover that comes with this box for Sacred Groves. So notably, she has 7 health and only 5 spaces, 5 victims to save before she earns her ultimate ability. So we've got Reduce Horror, Get Some Time, Recover Health, take any top item card, or get a free movement space. And when she gets her ultimate ability, it allows victims to move into the killer space with you. Normally they refuse. When you damage an enemy in your space, you can do extra damage for each victim present, but when you do that, those victims are killed. Thankfully, you ignore the normal bloodlust bonuses for that. So you can basically expend additional victims to do damage to the killer in that space. I think it's risky, but if you're going in for a melee attack, maybe you can get that extra point. Inkanyamba has 9 health. Barbara has 7, which is a lot for one of the survivors. Our starting horror level is 4. Let's see, I've put a red and a purple base around our killer and final girl respectively to hopefully help them stand out a little bit. Let's see, remaining things are items. So the 3 spaces that we have for items, we've got the Welcome Center, and the starting item for that is the Prayer Book. So maybe this dusty old book will finally get some attention from up there. So it has 2 little uses, so you can only use it twice, but when you play Atonement, you add 1 success to your roll. Down in the Lost and Found, we have the Old Rifle. So the range for this thing is 1 or 2 spaces away. It doesn't add any damage to the attack, requires both hands to use, and it can only modify the weak attack action card. But if you're on a holy site, add 2 to the maximum range, so up to 4 away. So basically take pot shots at the killer from hopefully safe distance. And the last thing is the Groundskeeper Shed up in the top corner, and we've got a whip. So range of 0, just call me Indiana. So it adds 1 damage to your attacks in the same space. It only takes 1 hand, and if you manage to damage the enemy, you may move them 1 space. Which, that reminds me, something about this particular killer. Their normal ability, it will increase the killer's wrath if it's very low. I'll bring the card up so we can see this more clearly. So if he's at the lowest stages of rage, he will increase his rage by 1. He gets himself back up to 3 on his own. But he doesn't have a movement. He just targets the closest final girl or victim and then attacks. He doesn't have innate movement on his card. So I think that the whip, being able to just sort of push him out of the way on your turn, if his terror card doesn't get him into your space, maybe he won't get to attack you. So that can be useful. And let's see, I already drawn, so we've got the worship service, and I'll set up all the tokens for that and we'll just come right back. Okay, everything's in position now. So our final girl is starting over here on the far west side. Because it's called worship service, all the victims are arranged around the holy groves. And there's pretty much 2 victims in every space that is connected to the Holy Groves over there on the east side. But we can also see that there's an escape space in the bottom corner, as well as an escape space up on the top. But the killer is right in the middle of the board, only 2 spaces away from the closest victims on either side. And because there's 2 victims in those spaces, that'll break the tie, so he's not going to go after, say, these 2 first, unfortunately. It's distance 2 and then distance 3 to each of those, so the killer will be attacking them first. Okay, unless somehow, maybe we can throw our final girl in the way and maybe push him. But the whip, unfortunately, is the farthest thing from us, so it's going to be tough to push this killer around. Yep, I've dealt the 10 terror cards up in the top corner, and we need to resolve 1 event, and then we'll be ready to start the game, and I think we're ready. So our event will be loud and obnoxious. Okay, these tourists are so annoying that I might just kill them myself. Whenever Divine Wrath increases, increase it by an additional 1. And that's just going to stay in play, because, yeah, it doesn't say, like, persistent, but typically they say, like, discard this card when. And yeah, it's because that says whenever, I'm assuming that that's just going to stay in play. So Divine Wrath is going to be a problem for us. So we've got to keep that in mind. Yes, the card tableau, because I've got the camera right in the middle to provide us a view of the board. I've got the rest of my shop is off the screen closer towards me. And my cards in hand, I've got off to my left here. Okay, I think we are ready to start the game. So, in starting this game, we've got a couple of walks. If I possibly can, I'd like to get over to the Lost and Found. Maybe I can, get the rifle. That would be nice if I can just start pinging the enemy. But also, if I can be closer than any of the victims, and I've got a bunch of health, maybe I can, prevent him from increasing his bloodlust power by simply taking hits and just get to the victims first. Just try to stay in the way. And if I get that rifle, start using the weak attack on him. But that means that my first call has to be using the walk card. And I'm definitely relying on, I did the introduction video that goes over each of the standard cards in detail, but I'll just sort of show the card the first time. So move 1 space, move 2 spaces. If you fail, you can take damage to move a space. We do start, his starting horror level is 4, so I'm going to roll 2 dice in the center bit, and let's see how our first roll goes. Okay, 1 success, 1 blank, so I can't upgrade it, but that's not bad. We use up 1 time, and we can move up to 1 space. Let's see, if I move to the Sacred Shrine, I'm at least closer to him than any of the victims, so if I can't get any movement off of my second walk card that I'm about to use as well, then I can at least draw him towards me instead of any of the victims, because now I'm closest and that should break the tie. So we're going to try walking again, just using the second card here. This is my played cards area. So walk. Oh, both blanks. Oof, so I can take a damage to move a space. Either way, I'm going to waste 2 time units, which that part sucks. Because if I'm wasting 2 time either way, I want to just get to that space, because one of the things I need, like search costs 2 and sprint costs 2. I'm going to be stuck in that place next turn, not able to move. Yeah, I need to move. I need to move, so I've taken a damage. That hurts, and now our budget is down to 3. Oof. So what I've got left are focus cards, the weak attack, and the short rest. Pretty much everything when you're on this lower, using the lower level 0-cost cards, most things are going to require you to spend time. Oof. Now, none of these things, I haven't spent anything on focus. If I only end up with 2 budget there, I think I'm willing to, boy, I feel like I want to try to get the horror level down. So I'm going to use a focus. And if I'm lucky, I can get some budget back. I'm definitely willing to spend short rest and the other focused to try to get out of this. But yeah, I'm going to need some luck here. Let's see, I want that even. There we go. Oof. Okay. Well, I'm going to spend the focus and the short rest card to get one success out of this at least. Otherwise, I would just spend 2 time, and that would be terrible. So I'm down to 2, but the horror level does go down to 3. I consider that an investment. The only card I've got left in my hand is the weak attack, which I'm hoping I can just... that the killer stays in place and I can get the search card. And in fact, yeah, we're going into the planning phase. Boy, what's better, sprint or search? I got fairly unlucky. But if I can get the sprint and save some of these people, that's more valuable than getting the rifle. So I guess I'm just going to use my 2, buy a sprint card, and that's it for my phase. So that resets. Now we're in the killer phase. So resolve a killer action. Because he's at 1 or 2, he goes up to 3. Now we don't do the effect at level 3, which would be increase the horror level, unless we get a Unleash Killer's Wrath. So that part doesn't happen. And then he targets someone in his space and does an attack. So the killer's portion, at least, was not very exciting. But now we have to deal with the terror card. Okay, here we go for our terror card. What do we have? We've got, he's coming, and there's nothing we can do. Okay, so this is the killer's card, not the locations card. You can see the symbol in the corner. If there are no victims on the board, discard. Nope. So the horror level goes up, and then he's explicitly targeting the victims, so I'm not going to be able to stand in his way here. He gets a move and then an attack. Okay, so horror level's back up to 4, but at least it's not up to 5. And he gets a move and attack. Let's see. Yeah, for the reasons I discussed earlier, he's not going to go up north. At the lowest level of Bloodlust, he moves 2 and has an attack that can kill 1. So do I want him near me or near the other side? I guess I'm going to send him up to the northern side. So he's going to kill 1, and that means, well, a few things, but the Bloodlust goes up, and we don't have any killer things that activate, but the Sacred Grove does. Increase Divine Wrath by the number of victims on sacred spaces. So there's 2. There's only the 2 that are in the middle here, but because tourists are loud and obnoxious, we increase it by an additional 1. So the Divine Wrath goes up by 3, so now it's 5. And if Divine Wrath is unleashed, it decreases our time budget by 4. So that's nasty. Okay, but we have finished the terror phase, or the killer's turn with that terror card. Now we go to the panic phase. Somebody died in that space, so that victim who's right next to the killer is going to panic. So let's see what we got. Where's he going? Number 4. So where does 4 send them? 4 sends them over to there, away from everyone else. Okay, so they've panicked. Now it's upkeep phase. We could rearrange items, but we don't have any. So we are ready to start the next turn. Now, at the moment, all we have is sprint and weak attack. I'm kind of tempted to just sit entirely still and just buy cards. Because, yeah. Oh, right, at the end of the last shop phase, those all go back. Yeah, during the last planning phase, after I bought the sprint card, all of those should have gone back, so I am going to get a bunch of cards next turn, and if I don't have a messed up sprint card, like if I get a terrible roll or something on the sprint, because I don't have cards to just pitch right now. So I'm tempted to simply sit entirely still, grab, say, a search. I'm still in the spot where the rifle is. So grab a few cards, and then next turn, hopefully do something a little bit better. So, yeah. I'm just going to sit here, take no actions, and I'll come right back with my purchases. Okay, so here's my plan. I've got an improvise. This particular card allows you to treat 3s and 4s as successes on the next roll. And if you get double successes, it's the whole rest of the round. I've got that search. I'm going to try to get the rifle. And I've got a close call, which is basically a reroll card, only costs 1. You can reroll a die or reroll all the dice. So I also picked up all of the 0-cost cards back. So I've got those 6. I'm actually at the hand limit of 10 at the moment. Yep, the hand limit is 10. So I've got exactly that right now. All 6 of the basics and 4 extra ones. So reset the time budget back up to 6. And it's the killer's phase. So now that the killer's up to 3, he doesn't get himself more worked up. And there's no one else in his space. Thankfully, that victim ran away. So his default attack doesn't do anything. But we need to draw his terror card and see what he's got. Ooh, Fickle Temper. Okay, so make a horror roll. And so we're going to find out what happens next. But after that, he's going to attack victims again. Okay, so our horror roll, the current horror level is 4, so we roll the 2 dice. Okay, we got 0 successes here. I wonder if I can use... Yeah, close call says after any horror roll. Or I could simply discard, say, the short rest card or something to get a success. Because if you get... Yeah, actually the success results on this are pretty good. 1 success, just choose one of the wraths and decrease it by 1. If you get 2 successes, decrease one of them by half, round it up. That would have been nice, but that's out of my range. So yeah, we definitely don't want to have 0 successes here. So thankfully I can just spend 2 cards on this. So I'll spend a short rest and 1 focused card, and I'll put them in the play area. Okay, so we got 1 success, and I can decrease one of these 2 things by 1. The Divine Wrath is currently higher, and I know the Killer Wrath just puts itself up to 3, so I know that's going to go away on its own after it'll go back up on its own without me doing anything. So let's try to get the Divine Wrath back down a bit. It's now down to 4 again. Okay, now the killer focuses on victims, then gets a move and attack. So unfortunately, he is close to multiples here. Let's see, thematically, I guess, there's the different ways you can do it, like the rule of infinite evil or comedy, depending on what kind of movie you're going for. But I like thematic, and he would go after the people in the sacred space, because they're tied for distance. So he goes there and he kills one of those victims. So the bloodlust goes up again. Now his movement is up to 3, but at least there aren't any sacred grove things happening for that. Okay, we've done his terror card, so now it's the panic phase. We need to roll for the victim that is still in the sacred grove to find out where that victim flees. Got a 1. Which direction is the number 1? Oh, I see. 3, 4, 5, 6. So with a 1, they don't move at all, which is terrible because that means that victim is simply waiting around to get killed again. Or to get killed if I don't move through there at all and try to get the victim out of there. So that's terrible. And upkeep phase, if we had any items, we could rearrange them, but we don't, so it's time for our next action phase. Okay, I wanted to go for the improvise first, see if I can get the 3s and 4s boosted for the entire turn. And then we could see how, say, the sprint and my walks could go. I really do want to sprint into that space and try to save that victim if I possibly can. So, we're going to start with improvise. Here's my 2 cards. Please work. Oops, no, wrong button. There we go. I really want these successes. So please, 2 successes here. Ah, they're both things where if I pitch 2 cards, I could get the successes, but I want the cards. I really wish I didn't have to pitch the ones before. Let's see, this is worth spending the close call on. The weak attack, yeah, I'll get that back later. Focus and a walk. So I boosted that up, so now 3s and 4s for the rest of this turn are going to count as successes, because now I've got the green result on that, so until this action phase ends, all 3s and 4s are successes. It didn't want to focus for me there. Okay, so I've only got the 3 cards left. I really need them to work out. It's the search, the sprint, and the walk. Oof. Okay, and the improvise, it didn't cost me any time at least, because I had a good roll there. So search. I got 1 success, and the 3-4 thing didn't help me. Well, with 1 success, take the top item card at your space. So we've got the old rifle. We don't flip the next item face up. But at least if we have weak attacks, we can start taking pot shots at the killer. And that did cost us 1 point of time to use. Now I've got sprint and walk left. I'm going to use sprint first. Let's get in there. Now I don't have enough cards to pitch regardless. And 2 successes. The 3s and 4s thing has not hasn't helped me yet. Okay, but with that, we spend 1 time, so that's down to 4, but we can move up to 3 spaces. So I cannot bring victims into the space with the killer, so I'm moving 2 spaces. I'm now in the space with the killer, and my 3rd point of movement, I'm going to get that victim into this space with the other 2 victims over here. Okay, that was all 3 points of movement. And you can only bring 2 victims with you at a time, but at the very least, the killer's going to have to work for his victims. He's not getting any free ones by having them in the sacred space with him. So my last card here is the walk. I just want that single result here. Move up to 1 space and just get victims out. Okay. And 1 success. All those cards I spent upgrading 3s and 4s to successes, I didn't get a single 3 or 4 the whole rest of the round. But I got my success, so our time budget's down to 3, but we can move 1 space, and so we've saved our first 2 victims. Yep, because we're in the exit space with them. We have no more movement, so we're stopping there. So now, what are we going to put on our card? Well, I'm definitely decreasing the horror level by 1. That's back down to 3. I could take 1 free space of movement to, like, set up something. I think what I need right now is the time budget. I'm going to get 2 time back. That way I'm not completely screwed on the next turn by just having no cards. I'll be able to do something, hopefully. Okay, well, I suppose I over-prepared for that one, and I do have the old rifle, but no cards right now. 10 down to 0. Okay, now it's time for the buying phase. I'll choose cards, be right back. Okay, card selections for this turn with the 5 budget I've got. We're getting a sprint for 2, a close call for 1, and our first atonement card. I'm hoping to save it until I've got more things that can give me advantages, but I feel like we're going to need that card. Okay, and that's all we're going to have going into next turn. That resets up to the 6. And, yep, killer phase. So the killer's action, they would increase up to 3 if they were lower. They are not. And they attack someone in their space. There's nobody there. So the terror card, what's she going to do to us? Okay, they disrespected him, and now he wants their blood. Okay, so discard this if there's no victims on the board. But there are. He's specifically targeting victims. 1 move and a double attack. Then increase his wrath equal to the number of victims killed this turn. Well, I guess I'm going to want him to move farther away from me. He has to go to one of the spaces with the most victims, so it's either right next to us or slightly further away. And because he gets 2 attacks, he gets to kill 2 victims, which just really steamrollers his bloodlust up. So when we come up to here, when we get to this third space, he gains his dark power and we unleash the divine wrath, but it's going up by 2. Well, we'll do it one at a time. So his dark power is Rising Dread. Whenever the killer's wrath increases, increase the horror level. Oh, that's terrible. Oof. And also right now we unleash the divine wrath. So I must discard 1 random action card. Great. I hope it's the close call. So I've just ordering them here, and I'll roll the die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At random. It's a 1. Okay, it got rid of my least expensive card. And right, I forgot all those things go back into the tableau. I'll fix that. There we go. So now I discard that into the play area. Okay. And yep, so we've done both of the horror effects there. Then he's killed the second. And now, let's see, his attack power is up at 2, his movement is 3, and we increase Divine Wrath by the number of victims in sacred spaces, which thankfully is 0, but because the tourists are loud and obnoxious, we increase by an additional 1 anyway. So the Divine Wrath is up to 5. And now the killer's wrath here. Increase the wrath equal to the number of victims killed this turn. His wrath goes up from 3 to 5 as well. And now whenever he releases wrath, he'll increase the horror level by 2. Great, but because of his Rising Dread, the killer's wrath just increased, so the horror level is back up to 4 again. That was a nasty terror card because of all the stuff it was doing to us. Oof. Ouch. 4 victims already dead. I've saved 2. There's 6 still on the board. So that's the terror card. Panic phase. Well, there's no one left alive to panic. So upkeep phase. We're not at the finale yet, but I am not prepared for a finale right now. Did I buy cards? Oh, yeah, I just lost track of them. It's like, I should have cards now. I've got Sprint and I've got Atonement, and that's it. I just left them over in the area when I did the roll between them. Okay, it's our turn again. The only thing we've got is Sprint, and I suppose if I wanted to try the Atonement, I could go for that. But yeah, I've got nothing that can increase the value of this Sprint, and I can't discard cards to get better things out of it. Let's see. The rule that it says you forget most often is that at any point during the action phase, you can discard action cards in exchange for +1 time each, but I don't have any cards that I want to do that for. With the Sprint card, I have to hope that on any of 2 cards that I'm going to get at least 1 straight-up success, but then I could move. Like, I could grab the 2 victims and get them back. But if I don't get any successes, I'm going to waste a bunch of time and at most be able to move 1 space. And if I don't have any cards I can ditch, it's just too dangerous. So I'm going to take 0 actions again. My time goes up. Well, it's at 6, so that's my budget. I get all 6 of the 0-cost cards back. Whew. And what do I want to do with the 6? Okay, well, I've got a large budget, but because my hand limit is 10, and I've got the 6 0-cost cards all came back into it, I suppose I could just take other things and not take all 6 0-cost cards. But I'm going to get Sprint Planning. Haha. Engineering joke there. So I've got a 2 and a 4. The Planning card lets you roll extra dice. But it does have some risky bits to it, so it's good to make 1 essential roll, such as, say, Atonement, work very well. Okay, got the 6 cards, so down to 0, and back up to 6 once that ends. The close call goes back into the tableau of buyable cards, and it's time for the killer to go. Killer has no one to attack in their space, so we jump straight to the terror card again, and we've got Punishment of the Gods, Unleash Divine Wrath, then Unleash Divine Wrath. Then move and attack, and then an event. This is a nasty card. So, wow, what is the... Okay, the Divine Wrath card. Decrease the time budget by 4. So I'm going to do that twice, which means I have just 0 budget right now. If it was my turn would immediately end. Oof. Then the killer gets to move and attack. So they target anyone. That spot with the one person is the closest, so they kill that person. Bloodlust goes up again. There are no things to trigger on either side there, so that's the good news. And now we're going to get to see a new event. Okay. At least none of that increased. Oh, we've got the Uber Tourist. Okay. Hello, my name is Franz. No, I am not shouting. This is my normal voice. Okay, the victim farthest from the killer is now the Uber Tourist. Whenever the killer must choose a target, the Uber Tourist is chosen instead. And oof, if I save the tourist, then I can decrease either wrath by 4, but if they successfully kill him, increase Divine Wrath by 4. And this card's just going to stay in play. So I replace somebody with the white meeple. Now, who's the farthest? I suppose it has to be this one. So you are now the Uber Tourist. So an extra valuable meeple over there on the side. Okay. Now, yep, and that's just going to stay in play. So now the killer is just targeting that person no matter what. Interesting. So all the movement's going to be towards that person. Let's see. Can I make them go around? Two. It's on that space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drat. The closest path takes him through the other meeples that are over on the north side of the board. He may get a kill in as he's on his way, and if he gets it, that would be terrible for our Divine Wrath counter. Oof, but that does finally finish up the killer's turn. There's nobody alive to panic. Upkeep phase. We do have our old rifle. We can finally try to use it. Okay. So we're into the next round, and it's our turn. So short rest. We are missing 1 hit point right now. There's the weak attack. Our focuses and the walks. So weak attack. We can... I mean, that's how you win the game. We need to take him down, and we are relatively safe at the moment. I do have both sprint cards. Perhaps I want to run towards the far side so I can try to save the tourist. And I have plenty of things that I can ditch, but the weak attack I have to do first. Okay, so I'm going to try to take a shot at the killer before we move away. So, here's our die roll. And I got a blank and a discard 2 cards to get something. Well, I'll discard the short rest and one of the focuses. So that gives us 1 success. So I can deal 1 damage, but I also take 1 point of damage. Yeah, unpreventable. Yeah, this is never going to work. This is never going to work. I mean, thematically, this is something that you're supposed to be right next to the killer when you do, but the old rifle, does it say... No, it doesn't say you don't take any damage. You're still doing the weak attack. So yeah, I've taken a damage, and I've dealt our first point of damage to the killer. But yeah, at the higher levels of wrath, the killer actually starts regenerating. So this is going to be tough. No, it is tough. So we've done the weak attack. We've spent a few cards. Oh, that's right. I did not make a mistake. I really do get 0 cards next turn. What do I want to go after next? I need to do the sprints. I just need to get that stuff down. Focus would be nice. I could get the horror level down, but I just don't have the cards or the luck for that. So I must sprint. Okay, here we go. So, sprint card in play. I got a blank and a upgradable result. So I can pitch more cards to get a single result, which does let you move 2 spaces, so I could get back to the lost and found, perhaps? Or I could save the 2 tourists that are right next to me and just have the other 3 on the far side of the board. But the killer moves up to 3, so it's only going to take 2 moves. And the first move is going to take him right on top of the next victim. So I'm going to have a really hard time saving these sods. Well, I do think I just have to discard the 2 cards to get it, so then the focus on the walk. So I've spent... Oh, yeah. Oh, crap, that is going to immediately just end my turn, because I spend 1 time unit, which drops me below 0, and it hasn't happened yet, but if you actually go below 0, you get that little red X stop sign that just says, your turn is over. So I can move 2 spaces. I'm not going to get to buy any cards this turn. How do I want to do this? I think I want to just save these 2 victims. We're just going to go out and back. Let's just bank 2. So one of these things allows me to move a space, so give me a head start out towards the Uber tourist there. And the other one, I can take any top item card. The prayer book lets you roll an extra die when you're doing atonement checks, and I've got an atonement card. What else do I have? So the sprint is done. And I can either recover health or take the top item card from any deck. Now I think the whip is a good one if I just grab it from the groundskeeper shed, because it lets you do an extra damage on attacks from the same space, and it only takes 1 hand. And you can move the enemy out of your space if they happen to be in it. So that seems quite useful. My action phase is immediately ended. I had no budget. I can't buy anything. All of the other cards do go back into the tableau, though, so all those 0-cost cards again. Yeah, I don't even have the opportunity to spend the walk for more actions, or more time. But at least I've got it for next round. So all that stuff went back. Now it's to the killer's phase. So, again, they stay put, they don't get any matter, there's no one to attack in their space, we jump straight to the terror track, and it is the Wrath of Death. So unleash the killer's wrath, and then increase the killer's wrath equal to your current health. Well that's 5, so he's going to be maxed out after this. So the first thing he does is Killer's Wrath of 5 increases the horror level by 2. It's up to 6. Oh, that's terrible. Any more, and he's going to... Wait, his Dark Power... Oh, okay, that's whenever the Killer's Wrath increases, increase the horror level. So the second part of this card, increase the Killer's Wrath equal to your current health. It goes up to 10, which is just ludicrous. At Killer Wrath level 10, every time his Wrath is unleashed, he recovers 2 health, the horror level goes up, then he targets someone, moves, and attacks twice. So that's nasty. And now that his Wrath has increased, we increase the horror level. It is up to max now, and I'm only getting to roll 1 die on any roll here. So this is absolutely terrible. Terrible luck. This is really comboing together nicely for the killer. And lest we forget, also targeting victims. He always targets the Uber tourist. He gets a move and then an attack. Well, his movement is currently 3. His attack damage is 2. Not that that part matters for this. So because he moves up that way, he's going to get to kill that. Even though that wasn't his target, he still doesn't pass up a free kill. So we move up by 1. Now he gets to move 4 each time, attacks for 2, and oh, we unleash Divine Wrath. Great. The Divine Wrath decreases my amount of time by 4, so I'm down to 2 budget again. What can I do during this game? Like, realistically, just imagine a tracker. What could I have done differently at any of these points. This is just moving terribly for me. I may be screwed. Let's see if I can recover from this. But yowza. Killer Wrath and Horror level is maxed, and they're just trading off of each other to go higher. Okay, no sense whining. Wrath of Death, that we were done with the Terror phase, there's nobody to panic. Upkeep phase, I could swap the rifle for the whip. I might as well. Great. Okay, so it becomes my turn again. And I have a walk, a sprint, a planning, atonement. But if I'm only rolling one die, man. And none of the things that I have are things that can decrease the horror level at all. If I got a lucky sprint and managed to move 3, I could get up to the welcome. No, I can't get that lucky because I only have the one die. If I get lucky, I could move 2 spaces and be standing in the sacred shrine. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is a faster way to get over there, but yeah, realistically, I can't do anything. And I'm not going to be able to buy more cards because I'm just getting completely screwed over on this stuff. Yeah, I'm in the position where if I take any actions whatsoever, all of these things basically decrease the time that I have. Granted, I am going to at least get the remainder of the focus cards, or the remainder of the 0-cost cards back, and I could buy 1 2-cost thing as like the rest of my turn here. And if I try to sprint, the best success thing that I could have would make it so that I cannot even afford to buy the other sprint card, which is my only hope at saving the Uber tourist. So I have to do nothing in order to have enough money to, in addition to the other 5 cards from there. You know what I can do? I can sell the walk card before my turn ends to boost my budget up to 3. That's something. The other ones cost a bunch of time to get, so I don't want to spend them on that. Okay. Now, the shopping phase starts, so I get the other 5 cards back, everything except for that walk. I've got those 3. Now I've got at least a budget of 3 to spend, which is still absolutely terrible. But I could at least get an improvise or a distraction. I think, yeah, I have to get distraction. So we haven't seen that card yet. That's a good one for, if I get any successes at all, reduce the horror level, and I just need to get back into the point where I can roll more than 1 die. Yeah, I just have to do that, or I've got no chance. So, that cost all 3. That goes back up to 6. The walk card goes back into the tableau. And it's time for the killer's turn. So the killer just stays put. He doesn't have anyone in his space to kill just yet. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm starting to see a real pattern here with the cards, in that they do not just one terrible thing, but multiple terrible things every turn, and it's been just savagely comboing off of each one of those things to do even more terrible things. So the first thing, well, let me just carve my initials right here. So increase the Divine Wrath by the number of victims at sacred spaces, which is 0, but because the tourists are loud and obnoxious, it still goes up by 1. So the Divine Wrath at level 6 will just increase the horror level by 2. Oh, right. And then unleash the Divine Wrath. So the horror level goes up by 2, which frankly, it's already maxed out. Oh, I see. No, it doesn't actually max out. For each one past this point, you just increase the Bloodlust. So the Bloodlust goes up by max, and wouldn't you know it... Okay. I have to do this one piece at a time or I'm just going to go crazy. So the Bloodlust went up from here up to the top level. Past this point, you just discard the next 2 Terror cards, but Bloodlust is maxed. And we passed a spot, so the Sacred Grove increases Divine Wrath by the number of victims at sacred spaces. Hey, didn't we just do that? and then unleash threat. That's right, it does the exact same thing as those top 2 spaces. It gets to happen again. So it only increases by 1, it's up to 7 because I've kept them off the sacred spaces, it's not really helping me much. And then we unleash, so now at 7, discard 1 random action card, then increase the horror level, then lose 2 time units. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4... I've got 9 cards here, so I'm just going to pull out a D10. And we're going to find out which card I lose here. Okay, there we go. And card number 3, which is just a simple focus card. That could have been a lot worse. Okay, but then the horror level goes up, so the bloodlust increases, which means it doesn't go any higher, but we just discard without resolving the next 2 terror cards, which, I mean, that one's less nasty, and there's another fickle temper going by. So we're just now only 2 cards away from the finale. And after that, decrease the time, so I've got to budget down to 4 again. But wait, that was only the top half of this card. So let's keep going. Now, place 2 new victims at the Sacred Shrine, which is... It's between Lost and Found and the Welcome Center, so hey, we got some more victims in here. Great. And all victims adjacent to the Sacred Shrine move there. Weird. Okay, so we've added some more victims here. Great. Things are getting nasty. So yeah, we reached the max of the Bloodlust track and just started lapping it. But the killer didn't get to do anything, at least. So, small benefits. Okay, it's our next action phase. Whew. I don't know if I want to switch back over to the old rifle. I don't feel like I'll be using the whip that much right now. Maybe. So I've got these 8 cards. Now, what I desperately need, because I still only have 1 die to roll, I'm going to have to use the planning card, try to get a success so I can get multiple dice to use on a distraction card to lower the horror level. So, planning up first. I only get 1 die on this. And of course I got a complete blank. So, I get 1 extra die for the next horror roll. The horror level increases, which means bloodlust increases, so I discard the next 2 terror cards. Hey, what do you know? We're gonna start the finale this turn. Already. Okay. And then I lose 2 more time units. But at the very least, I got 1 extra die, so I get to roll 2 dice. Rolling for a distraction. So I'm just trying to get more dice that I can roll. I got 1 success. So with 1 success, the horror level goes down by 1, and I get 1 time back. So we are down to horror level 6, and time unit 3. But at least I've got 2 dice for ongoing rolls now. So now I've mostly got my basic cards left here. Yeah, the weak attack, I'm not in range of anything. If I could move all the way up to 4, but none of my sprints can go that far, I could try, and I can't even save the 2 people at the Sacred Shrine. But if I get the sprint, I can at least get to the Welcome Center if I'm really lucky and get 2 successes, which has not happened in a while. And, like, Atonement? Unless I get, like, 3 successes, it's just going to go back the next turn, the way these cards have been going. Wow. Okay. So, I'm sprinting. I'm going to try to get to the 2 victims. I got 1 success, so I can move up to 2 spaces at the cost of a time. Great. So I have made it to the Sacred Shrine, but I haven't made it out of the Sacred Shrine. At this point, I think I'm just going to sell the walk and the focus and the short rest, just so that I can get enough budget to maybe buy something. I'm holding on to the weak attack. You know what? There's no reason to hold on to the weak attack. I need to get the budget and spend it before the game takes it all away from me again. So, I've got 6 budget. What are we getting? Okay, my card purchases for this turn. I get the basic walk back, and getting sprint, and I'm buying a high cost card because they're going to start coming after me pretty soon. Retaliate, cost was 4, but this allows you to, the blue color allows you to sort of activate this in response to getting attacked. So, 1 success, reduce your damage taken by 2 and deal a point of damage back, which does get increased by the whip. And if I get a double result, ignore all the damage and deal 2 damage back. I'm pretty much going to need to rely on hurting the enemy more than he hurts me, and pretty unlikely. So those are my 2 cards. All I can do, that spent the 6. So all the other cards come back into the tableau. All those 0 costs that I had to spend. Sprint, distraction, planning, focus. And it's the killer's phase. Now, the finale doesn't trigger until the end of the terror phase. There's like a check. Oh no, that's the upkeep phase. So, because 4 terror cards got discarded since the... oh no, that should have happened... That should have happened before my thing this turn, because that did happen... No, I did something that made me lose the terror deck during my action phase. I think. It was like my bad planning, basically. So, the finale doesn't start until we get to the end of this round, which means the killer gets to do his action, he can't get any matter, and there's no one in his space. We would draw a terror card, but there aren't any, so we basically get a reprieve this turn. Panic phase, nothing happens. Upkeep phase, now we reveal the finale. So what's going to be happening here is Savage Whirlwind. Okay. So every turn, whoa, unleash Killer's Wrath, and you saw all the crazy stuff that's going to do. Then increase his wrath by 1, then he moves towards you and attacks twice. His movement is 5, his attack damage is 3. I'm not going to last very long here. And we cannot forget that because we're in the Sacred Groves, in addition to all of those things, we then unleash the Divine Wrath and increase the Divine Wrath by 1. So both of those Wrath trackers are going to be going up every turn and unleashing every turn from here on out. I've got no chance here. Mostly this is a watch how I die at this point. Should I even go through the motions? I mean, I know I'm dead. If I was playing just for myself, I would probably have called it before this. But we're doing this to show just how this all works out, so we're gonna keep going with it. So we've revealed the finale, and yeah, I could move my items around. I'm just gonna keep the whip active. Great. And my turn begins. Let's see. Yeah, it hasn't unleashed yet, but every killer's turn recovers 2 health, increases the horror level, then targets, moves, and attack twice. Then that's just the unleash portion of this. Just the unleash phase is going to do all of that. Horror goes up every turn. He moves and attacks twice, then when he gets to this card, he gets to move and attack twice. That's 12 damage every turn. Really, this has just snowballed out of control. I don't need to play any more of this. You know, it'll be over fast. It'll be over fast. So my turn begins, and I mean, maybe if I can do like some maximum atonement, maybe I can reduce that horrific Killer's Wrath stuff down a little bit. But yeah, it's not going to last long. Besides that, maybe if I sprint, like I could save... In my best case, the sprint could get me to the special tourist. And best case with the walk, I could then get that tourist out of here. So let's just pretend that I'm magically going to get perfect luck. And I'll be back down to 1 die every turn after this now. Yeah, I just have to... I mean, I needed to roll perfect a while ago. Oh. Well, I got 1 success. And I could discard cards to get another one. So realistically, I've got to move 2 spaces at the cost of a... I just don't have cards to sacrifice here, so sprint. I spend a time. I bring these 2 out of the sacred space. We're at the Welcome Center together. I haven't saved them. I guess I'll hold on to that walk for the moment. Atonement. We have to try it. And yeah, I don't have the prayer book to make this work any better. Okay, a success, and I can't pitch the retaliate card. That's my only chance at survival at all. But if I get 1 success, I can decrease either of the tracks by 1. If I get 2 of them, decrease it by half rounded up. Okay, goodbye retaliate. You cost me 4, but you're my only hope at living another turn. Oh yeah, so they go into there. So for 2 successes, I can decrease the Killer's Wrath by half. So it goes down to 5. Joy. And that was my atonement. I am completely out of cards. That didn't cost me any time at least, but okay. So I can spend 5 time units on stuff. I guess I have to atone every single turn. Let's see, I do get the other 5 0-cost cards back. So what am I going to do with the other 3? Well, I could improvise. Yeah, I need the distraction because the horror level is going to go up every turn, and this is my best card at combating that. So, the other 3 go into a distraction. Great. And I've spent all the time, so that goes up. These things go back into the tableau. And now it's the killer's turn. So, the first thing they do is unleash. I reduced it. Now that it's 5, oh, the horror level goes up twice. So it goes up to max. Past this point, the bloodlust would just keep happening, but all that does is discard terror cards, so nothing more happens as a result of the horror going up. So it's just going to keep bouncing off the top here. Now, we increase the Killer's Wrath by 1. Now he's getting free attacks and moves again. And then, okay, he's targeting... Well, we know who he's targeting. He's targeting the Special Tourist. He reaches there, and he gets to attack twice. So, that tourist is very, very dead, and that's the Uber Tourist. So, we increase the Divine Wrath by 4. It just maxes out at 10. The Uber Tourist is gone. Oh yeah, Loud and Obnoxious, they go up an additional point. So, this tourist also dead. The Bloodlust just bounces off. We have no more terror cards to discard. And Divine Wrath is maxed out now. And what do you know? What's up next? We unleash the Divine Wrath. Okay, let's look at what this card does at the maximum level. Discard all action cards except Atonement and decrease the Divine Wrath by the number of cards discarded. That's right, I lose all of my cards to appease the Divine Wrath. Now, I do have an Atonement, but besides that, I lose 6 cards, including the distraction I had. So the Divine Wrath does at least go down by 6, down to just discard 1 random action card. Wow. But lest we forget, now it's time to increase Divine Wrath by 1, and because the tourists are loud and obnoxious, it actually goes up by 2. So it's back up to 6 again already. Okay. So that was the killer's phase. There's no more terror cards. Upkeep phase, yeah, I could move the whip and the old rifle around. I didn't get to use the retaliate at all. That's long gone. Okay, well the only card I even have is Atonement, and I've only got 1 die I can use to attempt to do anything with it. So in the best case with this card, I could decrease either the Killer's Wrath or Divine Wrath by 1. And each of those numbers is going to go up by more than that on its own without me doing anything next turn. So there's no point in even playing that card. I can hold on to it. I mean, it would cost me 2 to get one of these things back. I could remove it to try to get a card, but the way this thing's just forcing me to discard cards, if I like spent everything on like critical blow or something to just see if I can get some lucky shots in against the killer, who is about to start regenerating again, there's just nothing I can do. Really, I need to get the horror level down, and they're sapping my time, or my cards, or my dice, or in some cases all of them. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to hold on to the atonement card. It's not letting me, or forcing me to do anything with it, so I've got a budget of 6. I'm going to get the other distraction card. I get the walk card back for free at least. And I've got 3 budget left. I can get the other atonement card. That's not going to do anything for me. I'm at the spot where I can search. I've got the 2 people with me. I could sprint and get them out of here. I'll take the search and the close call. If I search here, I'll get the prayer book, which will at least give me an extra success towards getting like the reduce it down to 1 result. That would be nice. But yeah, no attacks here, no ability to defend myself. Great. So that's all of my stuff. That goes back up to 6, and all of these things go back to where they were. Distraction and the 0-cost cards. Okay, killer phase. So the first thing we do is unleash the killer's wrath. So they're targeting, well, victims. They go towards the most victims, and then they get 1 attack there. They're going to attack the victims before they attack me. So they've killed one of those. Bloodlust already maxed out, yada yada. I'm not going to be able to save them. And then we increase the bloodlust by 1. That's up to 7. Now they target whoever they can. They move and they attack twice. So he kills the victim first. Again, that stuff's all maxed out. And now I'm the closest, so I get attacked for 3 damage. There's nothing else I can do, because I don't have the retaliate or the guard thing. I can't do anything to stop the killer's attack. But that ends that, so now we unleash the Divine Wrath. And because it's at 6, the horror level goes up by 2, which double triggers Bloodlust. It would discard 4 more terror cards. There's no more terror cards. And it goes up by 1, but because the tourists are loud and obnoxious, it actually goes up by 2, so Divine Wrath is up to 8 again already. Ah! Okay. But I do get to have another turn. And I am in the space with the whip. I mean, the killer's going to be able to get to me easily every single time. He's got a move of 5 and 2 different things giving him movement every turn. And I have dealt 1 point of damage to him so far this game that he's about to heal back anyway. Oh, okay. I need to get the horror level down. I have to use the distraction first. I'm only going to get 1 die, so I mean, I'm screwed anyway. Let's just see how this all works out. Great, I can discard 2 cards for a success. Discard the walk and the close call. Great, horror level's down to 6. I get extra dice now, and I get 1 extra point of time. Hooray. So now I've got Atonement and Search. I'm going to go with the Search first. I'm going to try to get that prayer book. So I get to roll 2 dice. 1 success and 1 blank. So 1 success on the Search card. Take the top item card of your space. It takes 1 time. So I've got the prayer book. So, fancy item. It has 2 charges on it. I'm just going to use the hearts because I got plenty of those sitting around. So put the heart tokens on there. It has 2 uses. When you play Atonement, add 1 success to your roll. I am playing that Atonement I've been holding on to. So I'm just going to use one of those right now. I already have 1 success. I get to roll 2 dice because of the distraction. And they are both the result that I can increase it by spending cards of which I have none. Right? But I do get one success, so atonement with one success. I can decrease the Killer's Wrath or the Divine Wrath by 1. I'll drop the Killer's Wrath. Mostly it just prevents him from regenerating. Okay. So I do get 6 budget to spend on cards. That's nice. I mean, I have to get lucky with the distraction every turn just to get the horror back down. I guess the horror's not increasing at the moment. You know what I've been forgetting? Anytime the Killer Wrath goes up, because of his dark power, the horror level goes up anyway. So it's going to be up, it's going to be back up again no matter what I do. Arg, good cards, and I just can't buy anything. Can't buy anything. Okay, we'll grab the distraction. A close call. The remainder of the 0-cost cards, which is 5 of them. At least I've got discard fodder. And with the remaining 2, I can get a guard, maybe survive an attack. Okay, that was all of our shop. So these things get to go back. And now it's the killer's phase. We're already in their space, but the first thing they do is unleash Killer's Wrath. So they move, they attack us. I immediately have to play that guard card. Well, it hasn't gone up, so I do get to roll 2 dice. Feels like I'm spending them, but I get to roll 2 dice on this. I got 1 success, so I can reduce the damage by 2. Great, he's not killing me yet. He does 1 point of damage. So now I'm at critical, which means, and I've forgotten about this before, but I get to roll 1 extra dice as long as you or the killer are on your last point of whatever. Okay, but the killer's power goes up by 1, and I was forgetting this before because we were way maxed out, but his dark power means that his rage increase has maxed out the horror level again. Yeah, we're back to rolling 1 die, but we get a bonus because we're on our last life here. Okay, and I did use the guard on that. Okay, so now he targets us, he can move, and now he gets to attack twice. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about that. Even if this thing was the, +3 hearts, he kills us, let's say we come back, he's just going to immediately kill us again. We have lost. This game was brutally unfair. I don't know if this is worse than the Poltergeist one, but just the way everything comboed against us, the one thing increases the next thing, increases the next thing. We discarded 4 terror cards from the terror deck, from just other various bad rolls. The only thing that, I began to have a chance on. No, I never had a chance during this one. During the previous game, the one where the audio, I realized, was completely broken. In the beginning phase of the map, I got a few turns in. I managed to, rescue 6 of the people that were in the starting area. I just reused the same setup card. I at least, got a really good lucky roll on a sprint or 2 at the very beginning and managed to save a bunch of those people, so the bloodlust was lower at the start. And with that, maybe I had a chance, but this one snowballed harder than any of the other things have snowballed against us before. It all built into each other. And the fact that I lost time, I lost cards, and just, the 2 different wrath things happening at the same time was just brutally unfair. And when I look at this guy's, both this one's a location one, but also his thing, each of those is just multiple things. So yeah, increase the level, then unleash, then increase the level again, do an event. Then, Wrath of Blood, unleash, then increase that equal to the bloodlust level, which is pretty high. That's just going to get you at max most of the time, and then he also gets an attack. And yeah, we had that one, just 4 different things. And then Fickle Temper. This one actually decreased one of the things by 1 earlier when we had another one of these. but it's just multiple pieces. And I feel like the other killers, like you typically had 2, maybe 3 things, but it's regularly 4 different things with all of these cards. And it was just brutal. So I think with this thing, you have to be lucky to have a chance. The fact that I was getting blanks at the beginning and just having to spend entire turns sitting still just to have the time to get decent cards past the starting ones, man, I just didn't have a chance. So what's the best way to describe this about the game? The root game idea is good. It's fun. The mechanics seem like they should work. It's just the difficulty. I'm not even playing in hard mode here. I'm playing in standard. The difficulty of the game, like the amount of things that have to go right for the game to be fair, is high. Maybe this is the kind of thing where your win rate is expected to be low. Root randomness and how it can just completely screw you unless you are like not just like average luck, but like very lucky to have a chance at these things. It's just very difficult. And I don't know how unlucky I've been getting. Maybe I'm actually just being extremely unlucky every time. The worst combinations of tarot cards coming up, the combination of the dark power and the event that came up that were just boosting things up, and then the fact that they comboed off of each other. Maybe I just got extremely unlucky. But this is the second game of Final Girl in a row where I have just been completely stomped and had no chance at succeeding. So it's tough. This definitely feels like a game that maybe you're expected to play it a bunch of times. Like a bunch of times in a row until you manage to beat it or something. I remember, like, there was that one game, at least of this, where because I had some really good luck in the beginning, I ended up just completely stomping Hans the Butcher in one game. And Hans never had a chance because he never managed to get his bloodlust up, because he just kept having terror cards that didn't move him towards useful locations. There's a really big random factor here, entirely beyond my control. Just in, I think the terror cards are the biggest part of it, but just based on what comes out of that deck, the game might be easy, or it might be completely seemingly unwinnable. And it's hurting. I still enjoy the game. I want to play every game on the shelf thing and then start mixing them. But goodness, if I'm not just getting completely rolled over here. So I'm not sure what to do next about this. I'm still planning to keep through the play each one of the prescribed sequences in order. So we're not coming back to Inkanyamba and the Sacred Groves next. We're going to be going to the next pair in the series, and we're going to find out how those play. And we're going to just power through it. Well, I think that's my final thoughts, at least on Inkanyamba at the Sacred Groves. I guess we can find out next time if it was just our luck again, or we'll just see how the next mission plays out. So, hope to see you then when we play, what's the next one in the series? It's the Carnage at the Carnival. Oh, nice. That one has its own weird, unique mechanics. I'll see you next time when we get to the carnival. Hope you had fun watching me get crushed here again. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.